Hello all and welcome to my channel DevOps Mela. This is Rohit Singh and welcome to my Azure DevOps interview question series. And this is part 3. If you have not seen my previous videos guys, please see my part 1 and part 2. Please check out my interview playlist. Not just Azure DevOps, I have questions related to Docker, Terraform as well. Okay. Now let's start with this Azure DevOps part 3. A new set of questions. Let's see what exactly we have. The first question is, how do we add custom fields in work item? Very interesting question. So there are 4 work item process what we have right now, that is Scrum, Agile, Basic and CMMI. So all those process have some default tabs, some default work items. What if you want to add a new work item? Like in Agile you got user story, you want to add something new, or inside user story you want to add some custom fields. That's quite a common scenario which you will come across. How exactly can we achieve the same in Azure DevOps? So this can be achieved through the inheritance process. So it's just one liner guys. Let's go and see how exactly this is done. Okay. Let me go back to my Azure DevOps. I'm already logged in right now, dev.azure.com, and let me look for an account. Let me take this account, this project, basically Azure DevOps Mela 3 project. And if you go in boards, so these are the user stories what I have. Just think of it that in your user story, like in your planning section, you want something, a date and time tab, like current release date or something like that, an additional field you want, or you want something over here in the description, like we have description, acceptance criteria, discussion, you want a new tab over here, or if you want a new tab within this section. Okay, so is it possible? So yes, this is definitely possible. Or just think of, you want to have altogether a new work item in this list. You want something like release. So whatever work item you can think of, some new work item over here. Is it possible? So yes, it's possible. How exactly we can do it? We cannot edit the existing process, the default process which is provided by Azure, but yes, we can definitely create a new one. How can we do that? Let's go on the organization settings. Under organization setting, there are something called boards. Inside board there are process. In this process, these are the four processes what we have: Basic, Agile, Scrum and CMMI. Let's take an example that I want to add some additional field inside work item user story. Okay, so for that I can do one thing. I can go ahead and create a inherit. I can inherit the existing process into a new process. So let me name it as Agile copy so that we know what exactly we are doing. So this is a copy of an Agile process. Let's give a description. Let's copy paste the same thing. So basically I got a new process added which is a copy of my existing Agile process. Now when I go inside this, if I want to add a new work item, I can simply click on it and I can add a new work item. Or if I want to go and edit the existing work item, like for an example user story, I can come down to user story. Let me refresh the screen first. Okay, I can come down to user story. You can see the user story layout now. What did I say? I want to add a new date and time tab, correct? Under planning. So let's go in planning, click on new field. You can add a new field from here or you can add a new field from here also. So click on new field. Let's name it as current release date or whatever name you want to give. It's totally up to you. What is the type you want? You want a different type, like you want date and time, correct? If you want to add something over here and put current release date, added. Now if you see, I got some current release date added. This is the additional things what we have added. Now how do I use it? How do I verify if this field is added? Can I go in an existing project and see if that particular field is visible now? Let's try that. Let's create a new work item with user story. No, I don't see that. This is because you need to create a new project under the new process what you have created. Then only the new field which you have added will be visible. How do we verify? Click a new one, name it as test. I'm creating a new project. Under advanced, if I go in the work item process, there is an additional tab, agile copy. So let's use this agile copy for now. Create a new process. So create a new project under the new process what we have defined. Perfect. Now if I go under boards, under new work item, user story, do you see current release date? And if I can go and select the date. Perfect. This is how you can customize work item fields. Okay guys, that was the question. That is through inheritance process. Perfect. Let's move on. Very interesting question. Work item user story, to be very specific, are not visible under the boards tab. Let's understand this question first. Let's go to the previous project again, because I don't have any work item to demonstrate in this project. Now if you go in the boards, if you see I have applied a filter at the user story. Now if you see how many user story do I have around 5 user stories right now in the list. But the same if I go in this boards section, which is very similar to Kanban board, I just see 2 user stories. Okay, I see 3 user story 340 and the user story 313. Rest other user stories are not visible, like 311, 301, 310. These are not visible. What possible is the reason why this is not visible? Let's go and look into it. The possible reason is by default only default area work items are visible under the boards tab. Now if you go and look into user story closely, the one which is not visible on the boards tab, we got area part defined. We got production, we got debugging, we got something called production over here also. And the 2 which is visible, it is created under project area path. That's a default area path. So what exactly is area path? And if you see, and since area path is defined for the given project, the given items are not visible. What exactly is area path? Area path allows you to group work items by team, product or feature area. This field allows you to define a hierarchy of path. Like you can segregate your work item, like your user story will be under production, user story would be different, your development user story would be different, your QA would be different. So this way you can segregate your work items with the help of area path. Now in this project the area path is defined because of that reason the user stories are not visible under board section, but I still want to see those user stories. How exactly can we do that? For do that we need to go and make some changes. Go into the project settings, come down and under boards there is an option of project configuration. Under project configuration, if you see, there is area. I have defined areas like under, this is the default area, Azure DevOps Mela -3 _3 is default. Under this I got multiple areas, sub areas created. So if you want to view user story which belongs to this sub areas, you have to go in team configuration, go to areas, and over here the default area which is set, change it to include sub areas as well. Okay, now let's click OK. Now go back to your boards again. Perfect. Now I have included everything now, and everything is visible right now. All the sub areas, even the closed one, everything is visible right now. Okay, if I just remove this user story tab, so these are all my work items. Okay, this is how you can view if the user stories are not visible. Not just user story guys, if even the features are not visible, story epics are not visible, this is just because of the sub areas. Okay, let's go to the next question. Very interesting one. How do we enable event driven notification in Azure DevOps and send them across as notification or other messaging apps. Very interesting. Let's understand this question again. Like suppose, let me give you a scenario. Suppose you have a build and release pipeline created and you want to send the build and release status update, like whether the build was successful, failed, stuck. Such status update, if you want to send it across other messaging tools, messaging apps such as Slack, for example. How can we achieve that in Azure DevOps? Think of it. The possible answer is service hooks. What exactly service hooks will do? Service hooks let you run tasks on other services when event happens in your project in Azure DevOps. For example, you have a build pipeline. The build pipeline succeeded. So it's an event which has occurred and you want to send that completion message on Slack. So that can be achieved using service hooks. Service hooks works on publisher and subscription method. So publisher will define set of events, subscriber will subscribe to those events, and when the event occurs, the notification will be sent to that particular channel. Like in my case, I'm talking about Slack. But from Slack, if you want to take, after receiving that message, if you want to trigger some more actions, even that is possible. Now for doing this, guys, if I want to demonstrate this practically, so you guys need a Slack account for that. Slack account is free account, guys. You don't have to pay anything. Just go ahead and create a free Slack account. Once you create a free Slack account, you need to create a new workspace. Now if you see, I got a DevOps Mailer workspace created. Now if I go, when I click on this launch Slack, it will take me to this screen. Now these are my channels, guys. These are my channels. It's already created. What for this demo, what I'll do, I'll create a new channel. Let me name this channel as Azure DevOps, to be very specific. DevOps. Okay, let's add this as a description. Make it private, it's up to you, or I'll just create a channel. Okay, so I got a Azure DevOps channel created. So basically all my notification will be sent in this channel. Okay, that is the first step. The other step is you need to create an app. Okay, basically you need to create an app and register it. So how do we create an app in Slack? So let's do Slack. Just look for Google Slack app registration or create, whatever you put. It will take you to this API link. Click on this. Make sure that you're logged in Slack before coming to this link. Now if you see this, I'm automatically logged in. And this is an option from where I can go ahead and create a new app. Before I go and start creating a new app, I already have two apps created for Falco and Grafana for one of my tutorial, the live sessions for what I take. So similarly, I can go ahead and create a new app over here. But before that, let me go to my project. Let me go to project settings and let me introduce you to the service hook, how exactly you can create a service hooks. So click on service hooks. This is the place wherein you can create a service hook, create subscription. Now there are n number of service hooks you can create, guys. Like you can create a service hook for Jenkins, for example. You want to trigger a build at Jenkins, and once the build is successful, you want to send a notification on Azure DevOps, and you want to trigger something on Azure DevOps. Even that is possible. You can integrate Jenkins as well. Okay. Multiple Grafana, you can integrate Datadog. What are we looking for? We are looking for Slack. So this is the Slack. Okay. Support all events, post message to the channel. This is what we are looking for right now. Let's click next. Build, trigger on the type of event. What type of event you want to trigger? So what did I say? We can have build completed, code post. There are many n number of triggers which you can go and look for. For now, I just look for build completed. Any pipelines, any status, that is totally fine. But if you want to filter out with my pipeline, there are n number of pipeline which I have. Build status, succeeded, partially succeeded, failed, stop. You can select anyone. Let's go and hit next. So basically what exactly it is looking for? It is looking for Slack webhook URL. How do we create that URL? That is what I'll show you. Come back to the Slack registration page. Create new app from scratch. app name, let's name it as Azure-DevOps build status, of if you want to write. Select a workspace. We have a workspace DevOps mailer. Create app. Okay, so now if you come down, there are multiple. You can have incoming hooks, interactive component. There are multiple types you can select. I'm looking for incoming hooks. So what exactly it does? It will post messages from external source into Slack. That is what I'm looking for, correct? So I'll select this. I'll come down and activate incoming webhooks. So basically I'll just hit on. When it is on, if you come down, there is a URL which will be created once you click on webhook URL. If you want to test, just run this curl command and a message will be posted over here if you want to test. Okay, or else just click on add new webhook URL. Select your channel name, Azure DevOps, click on allow. Come down, you will see a URL. Copy this URL, come back over here, click. If you want to test it, click on test. It will send a notification, succeeded. Let's check if we have received the notification. Perfect. You see, I've received a notification with Azure DevOps build. This is the notification which we just received it. Okay, let's go back and click on finish. We have a service hook created. Now let's test it. How do I test it? I can simply go and run any of my pipeline. Let me look for some small pipeline this will take 40 seconds. So let me just run this. So this is basically my ARM my ASP.NET build pipeline, guys. So this is basically, this project is from my live session project. So all these pipelines are created when I took the live sessions. Okay, guys, if you have not subscribed, if you're new, if you're viewing my channel for the very first time, please do subscribe and please give your valuable feedback, comments, and any new topic you want me to cover. Please put your thoughts in my comment, or you can even visit my website devopsmailer.in, or you can even write to me at devopsmailer@gmail, or you can follow me on Instagram. The name is very simple, devopsmailer. Let's wait and watch. Let's wait and come back once this is done, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys, if you see, my build was successful. Now let's go and verify on my Slack channel if I have received the notification or not. So yes, I have received the notification. Now if you see build succeeded, this is my build number. If you want to match, it's 2022-11-22.1. This is the build number, 2022-11-22.1. This is the notification what we have received. The notification is succeeded. Okay, it took duration 1 minute 28 seconds. Requested by DevOps mailer build pipeline Azure web app _build _classics. Even the naming convention is right. Okay, this is how we can send notification on event-based notification on Slack. This is one of the notification tool using service hooks. Perfect. Let's go into the next topic. Next question. How do we enforce policy to automatically include a group as a pull request approver? So if you are following my channel, in my previous part, we have seen this, like how do we add an individual person as a approver. Now the question is different over here. This time I'm not asking for individual person, I'm asking how do I add a group. So if I say I have a group of 10 people, any one or two people can go and approve my PR. Okay, so that is quite possible. How can we do it? We can do it by enabling branch policy and adding a group as an automatic approver. Okay, perfect. Let's go and see this in practical. Let's see if I have a group first. Okay. I do have a tester group and I do have a group called Azure DevOps Mailer team. I just have one user members in it, but if you want to add more, even that is okay. But let's go and check how do we enable policies. So under branches, this is the only branch. If I want to allow a group of people to approve something when there is a changes into my main branch, like suppose there is a pull request created between dev and main, and at that time I want to have a list of people to be added, a group to be added, so that they can go and approve my PR. So I can go and enable branching policies, and in this, if I come down, I can add required number of people as 2, and if I come down, automatically include reviewers. So let me create. Now in place of reviewers, what I can do, I can go and add a group. So if you have seen it, I have a tester group created. I can go and add a tester. Minimum number of reviewers, if you want, add 2, 3, whatever people. So 2 people minimum has to approve your PR. Now this is how you will be adding a group. Now a group is added. How do we test it? I just have one branch in this repository. I can do one thing, I can create one more branch quickly, but again will not have anything to pull because it's exact replica of main. So I can do one thing quickly, edit something. Let me add something into my quick scan.yaml. This is again a file which I use for my training. Let's remove this part, archive part. Okay, let me do a commit. So just basically I'm just making an additional change so that we have something to create a PR. So let's go and create a pull request, new pull request. Now I have one change in my Jenkins file. Let me go and create. Now if you see this, automatically a group is added, not an individual person. Now I'm talking about a group, and I can go and still approve it because I'm part of that group. But if you remember, we have mentioned 2, minimum 2. So one of 2 approvals has approved it already. So this is how you can achieve this. Let me abandon this pipeline because we are not using it. Let's abandon this. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next question, guys. Very interesting question. What is the difference between environments and deployment groups under pipeline? Now if I come down to my pipeline section, there is something called environments over here, and there is something called deployment groups over here. Now what exactly is this environments and deployment groups? Let's see that. A deployment group is a logical set of deployment target machines that have agent installed on each one. Let me tell you in a very layman term. Imagine you got dev environment. There are 5 dev environment: dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, dev 4 or dev 5. All these 5 VMs will be grouped together under dev, under a group named dev. Now when you're running a deployment, you will be deploying your changes on group dev. Eventually all your changes will be deployed on all the 5 servers. So this is how grouping is done in Azure DevOps. Deployment group represent the physical environment, as I said, VMs, for example dev, test or production environment. Deployment groups are only available with classic release pipelines. It's not available with YAML based. Keep that in mind. Plus, if you have deployment group, there's no need of agent pool, additional agent pool, because if you see on each and every machine, we are installing agent on top of it. And on the other hand, environments represent a collection of resources such as namespaces within Kubernetes, Azure Web App, virtual machines, which can be targeted by deployments from a pipeline. In my personal opinion, the deployment group and environment have the same theory, Since deployment group is not supported by YAML, environment comes in such cases. Okay. The Kubernetes resources and the virtual machine resources are the only supported type right now in environments. All others are not supported, guys. Keep that in mind. Beside grouping of resources with environment, there are multiple other advantages, such as you can have deployment history. You can there are traceability of commits. You can even it can even do diagnose resource health. It can even you can even play around with permissions in environments. Okay, so these are the core difference of deployment groups and environment. Keep in mind, deployment group is only supported by classic, wherein an environments is only supported by YAML based pipelines. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What are the different types of deployment strategies in Azure DevOps? Again, a very interesting question. What are the different types of deployment strategy do we have in Azure DevOps? Let's go and look into. The first one is run once. Run once is nothing but this is the simplest deployment strategy, wherein all the lifecycle hooks such as pre-deploy step, your deploy stage, route traffic, post-route traffic are executed at least once. Now if you want to view the run once strategy example, I do have a pipeline based on run once. Let me go and show you that. Okay, this is the one wherein I have multi-stage deployment over here. If I go and edit this pipeline, and if I come down, this is a multi-stage deployment. Basically I got build stage and I got release stage over here. Now if you see in the release stage, there is a deployment. The job is deployment, and the strategy which I am using right now, it is run once, and the hook which I'm using, it's a deploy hook which I'm using right now. So what does this mean? At least this hooks will get executed at least once when I run this pipeline. Okay, that is one of the deployment strategy what we have. The other deployment strategy is the rolling deployment strategy. So a rolling deployment replaces instance of the previous version of an application with instance of the new version of the application on a fixed set of virtual machines in each iteration. So basically, if you have deployed previously version 1.0, now it will go and replace that with version 1.1 with the new changes. Okay, that is rolling strategy. And the third and not the least is the Canary one. Canary deployment strategy is an advanced deployment strategy that helps mitigate the risk involved in rolling out new version of your application. By using this strategy, you can roll out changes to a small set of server first. Like suppose you have group of 10 servers, and if you want to deploy your changes on 2 of the VMs first, once post that you want to eventually go on 2 this if you want to take that approach, then Canary is the best one, wherein it will deploy changes on first subsets, then you can go and test it. If it's all looking good, then you can eventually move on to the next set of servers. That is Canary for you guys. So these are the 3 deployment strategies what we have in Azure DevOps. To be very precise, run once, rolling, Canary. Let's move on to the next question. What is the maximum size of commits we can push in Azure Repose, and how do we restrict the push size? This is very important, guys. You cannot allow anyone to push any given number of commits, a big chunk of commit in your repository. That will make your build process very slow. I'll tell you how. First, let's see the answer. What is the size of commit we can push in Azure Repose? The answer is pushes are limited to 5 GB at a time. So you can push 5 GB at a time, you can push into Azure Repose, and I will never recommend to push such a big chunk as a commit to your remote repository, because this will take a good amount of time. And if your repository is big, it has good number of files, it may eventually impact your build pipeline, because if you go and look into your build pipeline logs, while it does the initialization, it clones your existing repository on the agent. Even though there are ways to restrict that too, but that is something we are not talking in this topic. Okay, there are different ways to handle such cases, but the prerequisite is you should not allow such big pushes to your remote repository. Then how do we restrict? The other question is, how do we restrict? I can show you that by going into your project settings, go to your repository. Under repositories, let's take an example of this repository, Azure Web App. Go into policies, come down, there is an option of maximum file size. You can go and select. If you just want to allow 10 MB at a time, then you can go and select this. This is how you will be restricting your push size to your repository. Okay, let's go to the next question, guys. Can we recover recently deleted project in Azure DevOps? So the answer is yes. Yes, within the first 28 days from the deletion, a project can be recovered. Remember the date, first 28 days from the deletion. Post that, the project will be permanently deleted. One more condition, only an organization owner can restore a deleted project, or a person who is part of project collection administrative group. Only these peoples can recover your deleted project. How do we do it? Let's see the demo. If I go in the organization settings, I got a project. Let's go in project. So we just created this test project, remember? I can go and delete this. Now if you see, as soon as I'm deleting, what exactly it's saying, you will have up to 28 days to recover this project. Okay, now let's delete this project and let's see if we can recover. And FYI, I am the owner of this particular organization, guys, and plus I'm added to the group also. Because I'm the owner, I'm automatically added. Now how do I recover? So when you go to projects, when you come down, do you see there's the option view recently deleted project? Go over here. This was the project which we deleted today. That's 11/22. Okay guys, this was the project which was deleted today. So if I want to recover, I can simply click over here and click on restore project. So everything will be restored. If you have any build pipeline, work items, everything will get restored. Okay, if I go to Azure DevOps now, see, this is my project which got restored. This is how you can go ahead and restore a deleted project. Okay guys, let's go back to the next question. Okay, very interesting one. Difference between Azure DevOps services and Azure DevOps server. Let me tell you, I take n number of interviews, guys, for my company, and this is a very simple, even though it looks like a very simple question, most of you folks gets confused. What exactly is the difference? Now when I say what is the difference between Azure DevOps services and server, they talk about Azure Repose, the services, pipelines, artifacts and all. No, that is absolutely wrong. Let's understand the difference between these two. The first is Azure DevOps service. The first one is Azure DevOps service. It's a cloud offering, guys. Okay, it provides scalable, reliable and globally available hosted service backed by a 99.9% SLA provided by Azure. It is monitored 24/7 and available in local data center across the world. Similar to what you have Azure Cloud, AWS Cloud, is the same set of service. So you can access your organization, Azure DevOps organization, from anywhere in the world. This is a cloud offering. You just need a Microsoft account, sign in, and you are ready to start working on Azure DevOps. That is what Azure DevOps service is all about. On the other hand, this is Azure DevOps server. This is basically an on-prem offering by Azure built on SQL Server backend. Okay, usually this is we choose this on-prem version when we need our data to stay within a network. So this is for those companies wherein they don't want their data to move outside their network, even to go on secure cloud, nowhere. They want their data on-prem. Everything should be inside their network. Nothing should go out. Okay, or condition when we want to access the SQL Server reporting service that is tightly integrated with Azure DevOps Server data and tools. So if you want to integrate your SQL Server reporting service with Azure DevOps, then this is the right option for you. So these are the major differences. One is cloud offering, the second one is on-prem offering. That's it for me today, guys. That's it from part 3. Please let me know in the comment box how did you like this video, and if you want any new topics, any new part in the future, please do let me know. Your feedback is very important for me, and if you guys have not subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Bye bye.